get us in, pal? It's how we get out that puts us above the rest. Lie and lie.
Right, team. Better pick our base. Base will unlock soon. Stock up. Reinforce the walls. Get ready to ride out.
Searching for a better weapon.
Keep in mind, everyone. If they run away from you, it's a good thing. If they run towards you, it's also a good thing. As long as you can see
Dome's
them.
opening in 10. Ready up, team.
On the move.
The shield breaker is
Mounting up.
forming soon. Explore and gather anything you need.
Doors open. What can I get you? Friendly fire, kid. Hey there. Shots at your disposal.
Picking up some bad. Getting shot! Damage!
Oh, I should have cloaked. What am I doing?
Getting nothing from the skies. Stay vigilant. Severed her soul.
Thank you.
Shield breakers forming at the tunnels.
Mounting up, riding out. Oh, there. Picking up some baddies. Fire. Getting damage. Shooting. Get down. Soul severed.
Shield breakers formed. Go get it. The enemy picked up the shield breaker. Intercept them.
Let's do this.
Double jacket there.
Getting shot at. I'm down.
Okay, cloak doesn't work.
The shield breaker is close to our base. We must stop them. Let's go here.
Jumping back to base.
I've been down. Damage. I'm reloading.
Listen up. The enemy has dropped the shield breaker. Intercept. Enemy's got the shield breaker. Take them out.
I'm sending out my heat wave.
Respawns are almost locked. We're getting into the overtime stretch.
I'm down. Sorry about that, everyone. Back. Shooting. Getting shot at. Down.
We are opening your gates. Then our monsters will be unleashed.
Defensive positions, team. They're breaking through your dome.
Gonna defend here.
Enemy inside! Take him out!
Got some baddies. I'm down. Someone shoot me.
Going fire.
Calling in extra eyes from above.
Taking damage.
I'm down.
They down me.
Sorry about that, everyone. Back. Reloading.
Heads up. They're planting a bomb. Intercept. Defuse their bomb. It's counting down, team.
We have enemies down. Get ready. Grenade out! Opening fire!
Down me.
Taking damage! We all trip sometimes. It's how we get up. Taking damage!
A generator's destroyed. Push that defense.
Been down. We have enemies nearby. Get ready. I've been down.
Taking damage.
I'm back. I'm reloading. I've been down. I've been down.
They down me.
I'm down.
Enemy is planting a bomb. Better stop them. Defuse the bomb or we're done.
Sorry about that, everyone. Back. Got some baddies. Marked. Using the bomb.
The dialogue in this game is so bad. Alright, good.
Bloody work. Bomb defused.
Getting damaged. Vanishing from eyes.
Down me.
Sands unleashed!
Wait, what?
Took one out.
Alpha team. We lost this location.
Boom! It was kind of funny though, is like, I don't even, like, you have to win 10 matches to unlock ranked or whatever. I don't even know if I want to do that. Let me see. Is that what it said? Yeah. Let's play another game. Let's see. Do. So I just don't feel like, you know, yeah. Figuring out another sensitivity for a game. What do I want to play? We could do Valorant. Yeah, I don't really know what I want to play. Let's just put random stuff in the title. I don't think I feel like doing League right now. I could do a quick check something real quick.
Well, hello there. Well, hello there, Mike.
Okay. Do a quick Valorant.
Match found. Spike rush.
I'm out of here. Gotta go. Stalking. Go, go, go. Shortcut. I'm out of here. Reloading. Spike black. Go, go, go.
Still in sight. Nice and slow now. Reloading. Enemy spotted. A.
Gotta go.
Going up.
Last player standing.
Gotta go. Go, go, go.
Cutting the reach.
Take this.
Reloading. Hitting the brakes.
There.
Last player standing. Long. Last round
I'm outta
before the
here.
switch.
Here we go. Down. Hi. Pissed.
54 mid. Veto.
Spike planted. My ult ready. Cutting their vision.
Last player standing. Switching
Go, go, go.
sides. Match point.
I'm out of here. Gotta go. I'm out of here. Go, go, go. Got one. Get out of my way. Enemy spotted A. Gotta go. Enemy attacker spawn.
Still in sight.
Last player standing. Attackers win.
Boom, baby. Sick. Here, let me all right, nice. That's all I wanted to do is I wanted to get this. Cool. And the other ones I don't really, not that big of a deal. Okay, sick. Yeah, I might, let me think. Yeah, I probably don't want to do League right now. So we'll do, take the headphones off. Do a little bit of Warcraft. It's updating.
with the brilliant Thomas Vanderberg, also known as Noyo Games. Thomas is the creator of the Kingdom series, Cloud Gardens, Pizza Possum, and his upcoming game, Garbage Country. All of these games sold well over 1 million copies in total, which honestly, this is a monumental feat for game devs, especially a game dev who makes small, tight, very focused games. In this podcast, we discuss his 8 years of developing a single IP. And then he spent 3 years building another game that he eventually scrapped entirely. We talk about his approach to game dev, which, by the way, is in some ways the complete opposite of his peers, Jonas Tyroller. We also talk about his advice for indie game developers like you in 2025. And finally, we do this really fun community Q&A at the end where we just answer your questions. So let's jump in. This one is really, really fascinating. I wrote down, I feel like I'm doing game dev wrong. And the reason and that's because I was looking at your work and I was looking at Jonas's and Paul's, and I'm thinking, you guys, you have this rich portfolio of games that are hyper focused, and they're like, I don't know if small is the right word. They're really, really focused. So before I get into like what games these are, would you agree with me that your games have this tight, small focus?
So it's interesting that you say that, because, you know, you just mentioned like, oh, you feel like you're doing it wrong because like you're doing it different than, and you're kind of like grouping me together with Grizzly Games. But I feel like that. Like, I feel like I'm doing it wrong, and I look at Grizzly Games. When I made Pizza Possum with Friedemann, that was the third person in Grizzly Games, who left to do independent stuff now. We did Pizza Possum kind of like in that spirit, the Grizzly Games spirit, where you keep the development time really small and you kind of like focus and blast through. But me personally, I tend to just go deep and take way too long. And I'm happy that the games that I've made kind of give you the impression that there was focus, because for me, it really feels like, you know, a very long and winding process, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's talk about your history here. So you started with Kingdom, right? I mean, yeah. Okay. So you started with Kingdom. The Kingdom series is very, very successful.
Yeah.
It's clearly successful because you ended up making a bunch of sequels to it and DLCs, right?
Yeah.
And then you made a game called Cloud Gardens, which is phenomenal, really good reviews. You made Pizza Possum as well, and that was with a partner. And now you're working on a game called Garbage Country.
Correct. Yeah.
And is it true that and these have provided a full-time income for you for the last decade? Is that what it is?
Pretty much since I started working on Kingdom with a publisher, and they started, you know, paying us the development funding. That was the moment I had, like, you know, an income from games.
Oh man, we need to talk about publishers. I've so many questions about publishers.
Between Kingdom, so I sold the Kingdom IP to Raw Fury after working on Kingdom for 8 years or something, and then the recent sequels, that's all they're doing, because I really wanted to do something else. And between the last Kingdom game and Cloud Gardens is actually quite a big gap where I tried a lot of stuff. I tried building an MMO game. That was kind of, because obviously you're going to build an MMO. You're like, why not?
Exactly.
And that was like, I got so deep in the trenches that I was like, oh no, I gotta stop this. And then there was this plant simulation in the MMO game, and that plant simulation code became Cloud Gardens, because I wanted to salvage something. I wanted to be like, I want one thing of these 3 years to count for something.
I know.
And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wrap up the plant simulator and sell it as a game. And that game became Cloud Gardens. It took me another 2 years to actually build that game. From going to, I'm just gonna wrap it up and putting on Steam, it's another 2 years. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm not a person who is like very, very focused, or I am focused. I just kind of, I just feel like the need to make something, and then if it takes longer, it takes longer. It's, you know.
Is it true? Okay, so I noticed this about your portfolio. You've got the Kingdom series, which is like, it seems much bigger and more complex. And as we go down through your career, and through your portfolio, we end up at Garbage Country, which I think you're working on that right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it looks so simplistic and small and
Yeah.
really focused, as was Cloud Gardens. Cloud Gardens, the description even on Steam, it's something like it's a chill game about...
It's a chill game about plants. I think it's something like that.
I love that. Did this focus, this sort of slowly getting more and more and more focused and more tight and small, did this come from a place of strategy?
It's really interesting, these questions, and you got me like thinking at this moment because in my head it's the opposite. Like in my head, Kingdom was really focused because I was young. I didn't have, I could program well, but like I didn't have a lot of game building experience. So I kind of necessarily made something smaller. And now with Garbage Country, I feel like I'm quite good at the craft of making games, almost too good, where if I can dream it up, I'll be able to build it. So it kind of doesn't limit me. So I'll just be building a lot of stuff. And then looking back at Kingdom, I was forced to make that game quite simple. You can walk left and right and you can throw coins on the ground and that's it. And Garbage Country, I mean, we just had to do a little bit of a pivot where, you were also able to get out of the car and walk around and talk to other characters. And it's like, oh boy, this is just too much. And I kind of didn't have those problems with Kingdom as much. So it's funny that you say this, like,
right.
It seems more focused.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm happy you say that because I want it to seem focused. But from the inside, maybe it's the opposite.
Yeah, well, maybe it is though. Like maybe it is more focused, and you haven't fully realized that about yourself. Like it's kind of like for me, I'll see a photo of myself from when I was 25, and I look at it now, and I'm like, whoa, I was so young, But and if my younger self saw my older self in the mirror, it'd be like, dude, you got old, And I wonder if it's this inability to see how much we've grown because. I look at games like Kingdom. Kingdom looks incredible. But when I see that game, I see something that's full and dense of a lot of stuff, like a lot of art assets and a lot of time spent on the art assets and the music and the classic mechanics of a side-scrolling game, right? And then I see a game like Cloud Gardens or Garbage Country, and it's like it appears to be a very simple, delicate mechanic, and everything is built around that one mechanic.
Yeah, I think Cloud Gardens, that's definitely true. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Kingdom's also had a decade now to grow, and one of the reasons that I didn't want to work on it anymore was that I felt it had reached its natural state of like elegant simplicity with New Lands, and I felt like adding things would just feel forced. But for players, it's fun. Like somebody should add those things, but that somebody is not me. So that's kind of where I said to Raw Fury, go ahead, you can do this. And they made it more complex, and that's now why 10 years later, I guess it does seem like very rich and there's just a lot of it.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about publishers really quick because you're mentioning Raw Fury, and like I said at the beginning of this podcast, you're allowed to say whatever you want. And if there's something in this podcast that you're like, man, I shouldn't have said anything. So
and
just
the next 5 minutes of the podcast is just blank.
I know. Well, the question is this. It's like I've worked with publishers through my career. Okay, I've signed 4 publisher deals.
Yeah.
So I'm on my 4th publisher deal. My first publisher deal that I signed, I got screwed over big time, which is like, that's what the first publisher deal is for, is to get screwed over.
Yeah.
Ended up buying the IP back. I actually sold the IP for like pennies, and I didn't realize I had sold the IP.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. And that was when I was like 18, and I'm 34 now. By the way, how old are you, Thomas?
36.
Okay, cool. So we come from the same sort of
same background.
Beautiful 90s era, making. But I'm sure you touched Flash a little bit here and there.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot.
So I sold my first Flash game to a publisher, and they were like, "We're gonna make this amazing. It's gonna be on the iPad. Have you heard about the iPad, Thomas?"
Crazy, yeah.
It was like that kind of stuff. It's like
it's a very similar background that I have actually, because I built the first Kingdom game as a Flash game, and then I got into game dev because Marco approached me that I built the first Kingdom with, like, "Hey, should we turn this into an iPad game?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's try." And then from an iPad game, we kind of pivoted to like, you know what, we should just do Steam, PC, Unity, like
Yeah, there's no worse platform I would rather play my games than the iPad. It's not for me. So my question about publishers is this. There's some conversations going around on like YouTube and conversations about publishers are dead, publishers are trash, publishers should not be involved in indie games, they just make it worse. And I've definitely seen that to be true in some ways, but I'm also sitting here going, I would not have Neversong, my game Neversong or Pinstripe completed without publishers. I needed it desperately.
Yeah, same.
So what are your thoughts on publishers, and what's your sort of advice for publishers right now, or for indies who are thinking about signing with publishers?
I think for me it has worked. Like you said, like Kingdom New Lands would not have existed without a publisher. Like having somebody to like give you some milestones, some deadlines, and be like, hey, should we actually release this game? And you're like, no, it's not done. And they're like, you know what? But maybe we just release it. And you're like, okay, sure. And then you do it. Like that's really, really good. That's helped. If it had been just me in my room and a computer, I could have like noodled for 5 years. You know, that's just
exactly.
And having somebody, you have some accountability. They're paying your salary basically. You know, you're like, okay, I can work towards a product. That's very helpful. Also, when Raw Fury just started, Kingdom was their first game, so we got their full attention, which I think was very good. Like they really tried hard. And you also often have this effect in the industry of like, if there's some kind of like new upstart publisher, then you automatically get like more, you know, they're like, oh, who's these new guys? Oh, they must be making cool games. Like that effect, and Kingdom really, really benefited from that. So it was definitely good. They can also get in the way of like being in between you and the players, you know? Cloud Gardens I did without a publisher, and it was really, really nice to just have this direct feed to the players, and it's just me, and if they want something they can come to me, and that was a nice feeling. But then I hated having to make trailers and stuff.
You had Kingdom money, right? So like
yeah.
you have money from Kingdom, and so it's like, okay, I don't need money from a publisher. I can just sort of do my own thing, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like it's a little bit strange for I don't know. I feel like it's strange for developers to tell other developers not to sign with publishers, because I'm sitting here going, yeah, but how are they going to make their game? Like,
yeah,
especially with people who are married and they've got kids.
If a publisher can de-risk it, like they will fund development of your game and you will have an income for that whole time to build the game, that is something that is kind of worth something, you know? Also just like the peace of mind knowing that whether the game does good or it fails, you will have had an income. When I was doing the first Kingdom, that was such a nice feeling. I was like, wow, I'm ripping these guys off. Like, this game won't do shit, but I'm getting paid. But I know that was, in retrospect, really not true.
Yeah.
But just the feeling of, like, I don't have to worry about this is nice. So if you can sign with a publisher and they're willing to pay it and you get good terms, I think you should do it, because it's hard, and the risk is also like a mental toll on your daily life.
Working part-time on a game, for me, it was working, like with my first commercial game, I was married and I was working a desk job that I really didn't like, and I was making that game in the morning. I worked on it like 5 or 6 in the morning before I got into rush hour traffic. Sat in traffic, went to work. Then through work, I worked through lunch on my game on my laptop. Yeah. And then in the evenings I would work. Now it wasn't this way every day, full disclosure, but it was close to that. And when I got my first email from a publisher, it was actually Armor Games, and I'm sure you uploaded your games to Armor Games.
Yeah.
They were starting a publishing branch, and I won't give the exact numbers because I can't. But like, let's just say they said, "Hey, we'll give you $80K." In my head, dude, I was like, "I am stealing their money. I feel like a thief. Who am I?" And it turns out,
felt the same.
Yeah, it turns out that it wasn't actually. In this case, with this publisher, nobody screwed anybody over, because Dan McNeely, who's the CEO, he's like just such a good heart. That man is like, he is such a good heart, and which is not normal for publishers. And some publishers, to go on a little tangent here, some publishers know exactly how to make you feel like you're amazing, and they'll buy you like a 5-course dinner and take you out and give you drinks, and then behind the scenes they're ready to just screw you. So that's my situation. That's what it was with Armor Games. I felt like I was screwing them over because I was about to get a huge pile of cash, and I'm like, there's no way this game is worth that. And I think what you said is brilliant. It's like what so many people listening right now and so many game developers listening right now, they think so lowly of their project. Now, the truth is that some projects are trash and they're not going to make money.
That's the hard thing, right? Like, how do you know? How do they know? And you know, especially if it's your first project, maybe this kind of security is worth something. Like, if you can get it, like, take it. Like, it's... And then you know what you're worth, and for the second one, you can think, you know, is that what I want? Yeah, you can wonder, like, are you good at... Like, I think you seem like somebody who's good at, like, marketing, like, you know, like, getting yourself out there, getting the game out there.
Yeah.
If you're good at that, that already reduces what you're getting out of a publisher by a lot. I think I'm somebody, I don't like it. I like to make the game and do only that, and I kind of enjoy leaving everything else to someone else, to a publisher.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Thomas, it sounds like a dream, if I'm being honest. Like, a lot of people wonder, like, why do you do YouTube and why do you do podcasts and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And I'm sitting here going, I'm de-risking. Like, all day for me is de-risk. Meaning, yes, I got a paycheck from a publisher, and then I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to launch my game and have no money and then hope the game makes money and recoups back. Yeah, so what I do then is I also do YouTube, and I'm like, let's bring in some more income as a safety net so that when the game launches, I have a safety net, you know? Yeah. So I'm always de-risking. And I think there's something, I don't know, courageous about developers who they just go, you know what, I'm going to sign with a publisher. I'm going to make the best game I possibly can. I know that my buddy Jay Armstrong, he actually worked with Armor Games, and he made a game called Cult of the Lamb. He made that game with Devolver, and they just went all in. Their whole life was just this game, and they were like, if it makes our money back, we win. If it doesn't make the money back, we lose. Right?
It's kind of romantic. It's kind of like this idea of like all in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like you kind of do that, right? This is your thing. Like, you don't have a backup plan. It's just, let's just make games.
That's true. I think especially with Cloud Gardens, I was kind of feeling like this game could flop, and I can handle that financially, and I just want to have something out there. And it didn't flop, but if it had not recouped, I would have been okay. With the current game, with Garbage Country, for some reason, the budget is growing a bit larger, and I'm not completely in that mindset of like, this can flop and I'll be fine. Yeah. Like, it's a bit scarier. Like, I'm kind of reaching the point where I do often have in the back of my mind, like, no, people have to buy this. Like, they have to buy this because reasons. So I'm a bit worried about losing that kind of like carefree, just build exactly what you make attitude. On the other hand, I don't think I could do anything else. Like, you know, and I kind of getting back at this like Grizzly Games, Thronefall. That was Paul and Jonas. But they have this idea, like, you have to do a lot of market research and your game has to fit. And that is something will always be hard for me. Like, I'm just building the game that I want to make, and it's really hard for me to go out there and ask people, hey, is this right? Because then it would feel wrong to me. So,
okay, is that a principle thing, or is that just how you're wired? One of my friends, he only makes the games he wants to make, and he doesn't think about the commercial viability.
Does it work?
Sometimes. If I ever talk about viability with him, it's almost like I'm saying I'm a pimp. Like, I feel I feel so gross, and like the way he looks at me, I'm like, am I a bad person for thinking about the commercial viability of this game?
Yeah.
What about you? Do you see something ethically wrong or morally wrong with thinking about the viability of it, or is it just not how you work?
It's I definitely, there's nothing wrong with it, and that's why I thought it was so interesting when you said at the beginning of this chat, like, oh, I feel like I'm doing it wrong, because that's exactly what I feel when I'm not thinking about commercial viability. You know, I'm like, this is wrong. I'm doing it wrong.
Right.
And but I think for me, that's just kind of, it also helps that when I work, I'm not trying to make something obtuse or like extremely weird. You know, like the games I make are quite accessible. I really want them to be accessible. I want them to work for a lot of people, and I want them to be intuitive. So in a way, I am aiming for something that works for a lot of people. It's just that I don't really go out and ask and be like, hey, do you like this? Because I have a very strong compass of like, I feel like I should be making this. But it's also leading me astray, and that's why it takes a long time to build these games.
Would you be, sincere question here, would you be this free-spirited if there was no money, or there was like a 2 month
That's
two months
the right
of money?
question. Yeah, I ask myself so often, if Kingdom had not worked out the way it did, would I be doing things this way? Because also, with Kingdom, I did exactly that. I just built what I thought it had to be. And I listened to a lot of people, but I also didn't always follow what they said I should do. And I built it and it worked. So what that has taught me is like, okay, follow your intuition and it works. But that could be coincidence. Like I have literally 3 commercial games released. That's not a lot. One of them even followed a different kind of development process. So honestly, I would say there's 2 games, Cloud Gardens and Kingdom, where I applied this. So honestly, I'm still really, really scared that it's wrong. This whole thing of like follow your intuition and it will work. Like, how do I know? I'm basing that on 2 samples. That's nothing.
Do you ever feel like you just got lucky and you just landed in this and you're not actually any good?
I think I don't have that feeling because I know that if you were not good, you wouldn't get lucky either. You know, it's like you need both. You need to be good and get lucky. So like, I know that I have some skills at the craft of making a game, but I don't know how much luck I had on top of that in terms of what I built, you know? Yeah. I don't think it's not pure luck in any case. You know, you have to make something that is like a good product, like something beautiful that connects with people, and then you can have bad luck, I guess. Well, that's always the question, like how much bad luck is there either? Like how many truly good games are snowed under? Like this is the always question that you discuss with people where it's like, you know, visibility, I don't know. Is there such a thing as really, really bad luck for a really, really good game? No.
Right. I mean, what about Garbage Country? Do you feel confident that you're going to be able to stick the landing with this game?
It's scary. Like, I don't know. Because I don't really think consciously. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make a car game because like people like car games now. And you know, it's also a tower defense game. So it's kind of weird. And people have been like, why am I also doing tower defense, but also driving a car? And it's like, yeah, there's reasons that I really enjoy, but you know,
I love
all these
that.
things feel like kind of like stubbornness. So if it fails, I could fully say, yeah, I was stubborn and I was stupid. So that's kind of nice. I have an out at least when it doesn't do good.
Sure. Wait, what do you mean you're stubborn? What about this game? What do you mean?
Because I kind of know that it's weird that it's 2 games. Like if you do any like game design class or something, it's this thing of like pick one thing and focus on that, right? Make the game about that one thing. So why is this game also tower defense? Like I know there's a little voice in my head going like, you maybe don't need it, but then I thought up some reasons why I think I do need it, and I kind of enjoy it, so I'm doing it. But you know, that's stubbornness.
Well, let's talk about this. Okay, so I don't know what the correct term is, if there's a correct term, but it's like genre breeding. It's like taking 2 genres and putting them together. Yeah. Like Hollow Knight, it's like Dark Souls and Metroidvania, like mixed. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And the question is that a good? I feel like it might be a good approach for 2025, which is like, look, maybe. we got to stand out in all these just thousands and thousands of games that are going to come out next year. It's like, why not take 2 seemingly opposed genres and smash them together to create something unique and something that's fresh?
So if you look at the game, is kind of like structured like a Metroidvania, and the idea was that instead of combat, like platformer combat, you have tower defense, encounters, combat. So it's like a mirror of Metroidvania. So the goal wasn't really to smash 2 things together. It was just like, oh yeah, in a Metroidvania, you move around the world and you also fight some things. And how do you fight things from a car? Okay, maybe tower defense. But if you blend things, they got to blend. Like they can't just be like 2 completely separate things that are just existing next to each other. So
something that I'm really excited by is the idea of contrast in every aspect of a game's USP. So like, for example, like contrast in art. If I put a minister and I put him in a hellish environment, that is contrast. You've got this spiritual leader in hell, right? And you've got contrast, which that's my game, Pinstripe, and it's also that what's that movie with Keanu Reeves, where he goes to hell. But there's visual contrast there, right? And then you can also have mechanical contrast, which is like two genres that are seemingly opposed and smashing them together. Like your tower defense car game. It's like those are 2 seemingly opposed, strongly opposed genres, and you put them together. And then there's also story. There's also story contrast, which is like A Minister in Hell is also a story contrast, but something like bugs in a medieval environment like Hollow Knight, there's this just contrast with that story.
Yeah, I think it's so good to keep those things in mind, like consciously, of like, oh yeah, contrasts make it interesting, and then apply them also. That's good game design, which I sometimes do not apply. I'm just like, oh, it'd be fun if the car is a little bit bouncy, and oh, what could you do? You could like drive over things, and I don't really go like top down.
So there's not a systematic approach for you when it comes to games.
No. Kingdom, I just animated this little horse. Then I was like, well, he probably needs somebody to ride the horse, so I animated this little guy on top of the horse. It's like, he probably needs a world to ride around in, so I animated this little, you know, like river with the trees and stuff. And then it's like, what could you be doing here? I don't know. Maybe some monsters come out at night. It really just grew from the bottom up, or like middle out, so to say.
Yes, that is so fascinating, Thomas, because when I was doing my research, I was like, oh, this guy knows Jonas Tyroller. So I thought, in my head, I was like, y'all are probably very similar in your approach to game dev. And it sounds like you're not. It sounds like, because like Jonas, what he, in his podcast, I don't know if you listened to it, it was like a couple weeks ago. His podcast, he's very scientific with his approach of game dev.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, you start at the top, which is like 10 to 20 prototypes, and you just test and test and test and test until you find out what's fun, because there's no way to know what's fun until you test it.
And I'm like, I know exactly what's fun, and I won't test it with anybody, and then just release it.
That intuition has proven to be correct, right?
Twice. And by twice, I don't mean like twice a lot. I mean like only twice.
Well, I mean, but you've only had 2 games, right? You've had small, like tiny tests.
So I'm kind of like Pizza Possum. The interesting thing was we really followed this philosophy of like, you know, you do 20 prototypes, you have 2 weeks, you decide on the best prototype, and then you bang out a game in like 6 months. We really did that structure.
Really?
So I'm kind of always excluding it a little bit from like, I mean, because and it was good. Like, it was very productive. Freedom and I were like a dream team on a productivity scale. Things went so smoothly. Like, we also didn't have time to do detours, which is really nice. Like, anything that would seem like this is going to be a rabbit hole was just like immediately no rabbit holes. Just make this game, and that was nice. It was pleasant. There wasn't any kind of big mid-production anxiety of like, are we taking the right direction? Because in less than 6 months you'll be at the finish line, so just build this game. And it's nice, but it's a different process than what I usually do. So I'm kind of like excluding that from when I say, okay, I just follow my intuition and build whatever I want.
But Pizza Possum is your least successful game.
Depends a bit by which measure. Like absolute revenue, maybe yes, but if you do like revenue over time invested, maybe not actually. Like the fact that we really took 6 months to build this game, and it did break even, and it is a commercially successful game.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you're saying that Pizza Possum, you did a more scientific approach to that game.
Yeah.
Yet you're okay. So this is. Do you prefer to work alone and follow your gut and not have to work with anybody else who pushes you into a box?
Where the grass is always greener, whatever I'm doing. It's insane. When I was working with somebody on Kingdom, I was like, I need to work alone. Then I did Cloud Gardens. It was also pandemic, so the aloneness was kind of like amplified a little bit. But then I was like, what am I doing? I'm sitting here by myself in a room building this game. What the, Then I was working on Pizza Possum together, which was like really, really productive. But even then I felt like, okay, but I cannot just freely do creatively anything I want. Like I said, no rabbit holes. And I kind of like rabbit holes. So there again, I felt like, oh, it would be nice to be alone. And now I'm alone. It's like, wow, you shoulder so much weight of like making all these decisions by yourself and not seeing how they turn out until like a year down the road, And by the way, I say when I work alone, I don't work completely alone because I have a team of collaborators working on this game. But in kind of like a creative sense, I am just taking responsibility of like, this is what the game should be.
Right. Well, they're not necessarily equals with you. They're not partners. I assume they're like something like contract workers that just help you.
On each field, I feel like we are equals. Like on the art field, we're equals, and on the level design field, we're equals. But maybe as a whole, you're still
the project lead, right?
Yeah.
And the decisions end up buck stops with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to shift gears here, and I want to talk about your advice for indies in 2025. I asked this with every single guest, especially towards the end of this year. The first question, before we even get into advice about 2025, was 2024 a difficult year for indies?
Wow.
What are your thoughts?
I think it sounds like yes. There are also more indies, of course. So it's like, was it easy for the same amount of people and just difficult for more people on the side of that? I think, but we've also seen some really good. I mean, it's kind of this like, it's always getting a little bit worse, right? Like the way we build games is just like, it's possible for indies, and it was probably better 10 years ago, and it was maybe even better like 15 years ago. But it's not impossible today. But I do feel like it probably gets more difficult, and there are more big players that just we just got really, really good at monetizing things in a way, and like, you know, sucking everything into Fortnite basically. And yeah, that will make it more difficult, and we are only going to get better at that. And like next year they will find way, like for indies there is always this kind of like, the money gravitates towards a couple big piles, and the small piles are kind of like losing out, you know, in every aspect of societies.
Yeah. Okay, so there's this wealth disparity as it pertains to AAA and then indies. So your theory is that the money's being sucked from indies towards the AAA world.
Yeah, and the question is there more money in total? Like, you know, is there more money to make up for that effect?
I think there is. My gut is, I was talking to Ed McMillan last week, and he's like, he was emphatic. There's plenty of money. Yeah. Plenty of money. It's just that publishers in particular and investors are just like, they froze. They froze over the summer.
Yeah.
And it affected my studio, where like...
Oh, wait a second. Do you hear that? They picked a great time to
That's great. Are you in the city, by the way? You said you're in Berlin?
Yeah, I'm in the city. I live in an apartment. It's really, really hard to, you know.
No, it's so cool. I love it. It makes this podcast more realistic and raw.
Definitely raw.
Yeah, but like okay, so as it pertains to 2025.
Yeah, but I mean, Edward McMillan is like, is it not a big player? Like, you know, like
he is.
There is money, but is it as easy to make a small amount of money to build an indie game? Of course, the tools have also gotten better, so it's like easier to build an indie game. Like if
that makes it harder though, because everybody's doing it.
Makes it harder for the rest, but makes it less of an investment for you. Like, you know, you don't have to program your game in C and struggle. But then again, the bar has also been raised. It's also like easier to build better games, so everybody builds better games. Like, whereas 10 years ago we'd be impressed by, I don't know what, like today the bar is really quite high for indie games in terms of like user interaction and how smooth everything has to be and the graphics, etc. So
if you were to give some advice to somebody right now listening he wants to do what you're doing, and by the way, your life seems pretty dreamy. I'm not gonna lie. Like you, I'm following you on social media, and you have such like this. It just seems like you're just in this flow state, the way you make games, and it seems so chill. And
sometimes when I'm in the trenches, I don't feel like that, because I'm like, oh, everything's difficult, and what am I doing? So, you know, I will take this to heart. I will think, you know what? Actually, it's pretty dreamy. I can
It is dreamy. It
sit down every day, think of what am I going to do today, and then just do something creative. So it's kind of nice. Yeah. But you were saying advice.
Yeah, so somebody's listening right now. They're thinking, man, Thomas. And they might think that about me, but they don't know that I have 3 screaming kids every evening jumping on my head. And then during the day, I'm making YouTube videos, making games, doing calls with publishers. So I am on my side of the screen here. I am like up to my neck in just busyness and stress and anxiety. There's not, I want 2025 to be much simpler.
Like, so there's one, like in general, advice is always hard, but there is one thing that I am fairly convinced of that I feel like confident saying, like, okay, like simple, like keeping that in mind. If you build a game by yourself, if you have the skills at all, even remotely, to build a game by yourself, doing that is so cheap in a way that makes the risk so low that I think sticking with that is often smart. You know, if you see somebody building something and the question is like, should I take it bigger? Should I accept money from a publisher and hire 5 people? Then you have to think like, is there a way where I could just build this thing by myself and release that? And I think then usually that would be my advice, to take that avenue. Because then your risk is low, you're making something extremely personal. There's no saying that the risk reward ratio goes up as you accept more money from a publisher, or as you hire people, or as you invest more time in it, like if you make something great and honest and beautiful in 2 months, whatever that does, divided by the time you invest in it, the ratio could still be good. And I think that would kind of be my advice, like keep it simple and small. I mean, that's also kind of a cliche because everybody says that, like, keep it small.
I don't know. I mean, this is what's funny is, like, for me, I've been making games for half my life, and keep it small is not something I ever told myself. And I don't know where, like, I never heard that, and I never told myself that. And so I'm on my 3rd commercial game, and this thing is ballooned. Like, opening levels takes like 4 minutes in Unity. It's just, I think it's going to be a good game, but like I've been kind of living in hell for the last 2 years.
I was gonna, if you can handle the ballooning, sure.
Well, that brings me to early access. I want to talk about early access because you launched Cloud Gardens in early access, correct?
Yeah.
Is that kind of similar to what you're saying, which is like it helps you know how much you need to invest in the game when you get a response from people early?
I think it's also. I quite like early access, and one of the reasons is that this thing about me not reaching out like early on to people for like testing, etc. When I launch, then often maybe the game is not quite where I want it to be, so it's kind of nice that it's early access because then you kind of have like a second attempt at a launch, The first Kingdom game feels a little bit like we did early access too. We launched Kingdom, people liked it, but it was raw, and then we said, okay, we make Kingdom New Lands, which is like a version 1.5. Like, to me, it feels exactly like the process of early access. You go back in, you build all the features you wanted to build the first time, you polish it, you get rid of bugs. So it was kind of like a relaunch type thing, which I think worked really well. And I would kind of always try to do that, even though some publishers say like early access is not necessarily good commercially because of marketing beats visibility. I don't really know.
So it's something like early access is a way to determine if your game is worth your time. Like, would you have invested the time you invested in Cloud Gardens if it didn't do well on early access?
It actually broke even quite late. Like, it wasn't doing so well in the beginning. So there, I just stuck with it. Early access is more of a chance to see what the game really is. Because when you're building it, you're watching it through your own eyes. You're building what you want to build. And then when you launch it in early access, suddenly it clicks and you see it through the eyes of players and you go, oh God, this is maybe not good. And then you have a chance to fix that. You put a label on it where you told the players, this might not be good. And you have a chance to go in and fix it. That's how I see it.
Okay. So are you going to do Garbage Country early access?
I think so. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed having this disclaimer of like, hey, I'm launching this game, but it's early because I didn't, reach out earlier. I don't do like before that a lot of play testing, which I think for Garbage Country I will do. But previously it was just pretty raw when it launched the first time. And it's really nice to have this label that says, go easy on me.
Go easy on me. I've heard that label actually makes it worse.
Well, that's, I guess, that's why publishers maybe say it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so Jonas and also Jonas Tyroller, creator of Thronefall, and also oh man, why did I forget his name? The creator of Lens Island. His name is slipping, and I interviewed him a month ago. But Julian Ball, he said, yeah, like when you do early access, people are actually meaner for some reason. And actually, I was talking to one of my publishers, and they were like, yeah, for some reason, the reviews that come in, they don't go easy on you. Because the type of people, this is what I heard, the type of people who play early access games and are willing to spin the chamber and buy an early access game, they're like cowboys.
I guess so.
They play those games, and they come in and they want to be critical because they feel like they're like a hall monitor or something, looking for the bad games.
I guess so. They go in and they know this is a game that has faults. This is a game that has something where I can say something, and then they will do it. That is interesting. I had not thought of it that way, and I've also not experienced it that way.
Okay.
But it could be that because Cloud Gardens is a chill game about plants, maybe
It could
people
be.
went easy a little bit.
Well, I think it's Thomas. I think it's just because the games are good. I mean, I think it's I think it's that simple. You made good games. That's why I say it's dreamy, dude. It's like there's so many people right now listening who, and let me know in the comments if you're listening right now and you feel complete, like you feel imprisoned. That feeling of like working for a boss and just grinding away, making stuff you hate because you have to make money.
Yeah.
It's like hell on earth. I mean, and for me, I don't know whether that's because my personality, maybe it's different than other people's. And I talked to Ed about this, and it's Ed McMillan. I was like, there's some people who they're okay with working a job they hate. You know, they don't mind it. It's
If
you know,
if your
8 to
job is
5.
your job and you put that in the job box and then you have a life outside of that, it can also be good, because you might not have this kind of like, you know, as a game dev you can have this really big picture anxiety, right? Because you put your whole life is this one thing and that thing has to work out.
Yeah.
And that can be scary. Like, I won't say that I'm really happy I'm doing this, and I also feel quite lucky that I can do this. I would never say like, oh, if only I didn't have these fears or so and so.
Sure.
And it's easy to deal with the fears because you think, no, but I'm independent and everything I do is for me. And that kind of helps you, you know,
Yeah.
when you do get those anxieties. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so true. Is like there for me, it's one bad thing trading for the other bad thing. It's like out of the frying pan into the fire. So for me, it was like I worked a desk job that I hated. I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't like creating stuff that was boring
Yeah.
and uninspired. And then, but I didn't have anxiety about like, where's the next paycheck coming from? Or like, what am I going to do if this flops?
Yeah.
This is all on me. There's really no safety net. And I gotta pay for all my own insurance and blah, 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 even though I think Germany has free insurance. But like in the States, it's like, you got to figure out what you're going to do. There's not as much safety nets as like maybe other countries, which is a whole other discussion. But like, you've got this tense feeling as an indie game developer of like, if this thing flops, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know? And so you've got this tense, for me, it's like I was up at like 3 a.m. last night, just like wide awake, like thinking about what do I do about this? What do I do about that? What do I do about this?
Yeah.
And that's something I think that people can dream. Like they can dream and go, man, I really want Thomas's dreamy life. But perhaps they don't know that on the other side, speaking of grass is greener, on the other side, there is that tension of, and that pressure of, I've got to perform here, because if I don't, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And before you were saying this thing of like, you were getting up before work at like 5 a.m. and getting in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I really recognize that feeling of, if you're doing something that you maybe don't enjoy that much, it kind of creates this like creative pressure outside of that, where as soon as you get home, it's like, let's create something, you know? And you can also funnel that energy quite well. Like my first games, like the Flash games, they were all built when I had to study for exams. It was all like studying,
so funny.
hating it, and then it's like, oh my god, I'm so glad I get to do something creative now.
Yeah.
And there is something to say for that. Like you said, like if you really hate your job and it makes you unhappy, then no. But if you have a job where you can say, this is my job, this is what I do for money, and on the side you make games and you're happy doing that, it is also, I think, a good way to live, because you don't have this big picture anxiety. Sure. And games built like that can be successful.
I think you're right. Man. Well, let's hop into a few community questions. People have some questions for you.
Yeah.
So we have 4 or 5 here. We have 4 or 5 here. So Mikey says, what game could you never stop playing as a kid?
The game that I remember myself playing the most is Z, you know, the RTS.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I guess we are from the same time. Yeah. I just remember spending hours on that game. I don't know why. I guess the little pixel art guys, the fact that it's kind of like a strategy game. I really enjoyed that it was just doing stuff without touching it. you know, like you set up the factories and they're building units and you're kind of just like watching it go down. And I still find that fascinating. That's why I'm building a tower defense game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, J Trash says, have you ever scrapped a major feature or mechanic? If so, how did you go about the decision process and dealing
Strategy game. I really enjoyed that it was just doing stuff.
Oh, cool.
For you. Yeah.
So we have 4 or 5 here. Oh no, yeah, we have 4 or 5 here. So Mikey says, what game could you never stop playing as a kid?
The game that I remember myself playing the most is Z, you know, the RTS.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I guess we are from the same time. Yeah. I just remember spending hours on that game. I don't know why. I guess the little pixel art guys, the fact that it's kind of like a strategy game. I really enjoyed that it was just doing stuff without touching it. You know, like you set up the factories and they're building units and you're kind of just like watching it go down. And I still find that fascinating. That's why I'm building a tower defense game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, J Trash says, have you ever scrapped a major feature or mechanic? If so, how did you go about the decision process and dealing with a large amount of lost time? And I think you touched on this in our conversation, but
yeah, this is something where, you know, like I said, I only made 2 games, but the feeling of like kill your babies is something I'm very used to by now. And I'm also almost at a point where I feel like I'm happy when it happens. Like every project has this one thing where you go like, oh, this is it. This is the babies that you're killing. This is the thing where the first year you were kind of struggling with it, but you thought it was necessary, and now you've reached a point at a dead end, and you go through some stuff, and you're like, oh, we gotta cut it, and you cut it, and it makes so much sense. And now it's comforting. It's like, oh, nice, we've reached the point where we're doing this. So because they asked for an example, I think Cloud Gardens was gonna have multiplayer, or not really multiplayer, like async. Like you could pop into each other's, like it was kind of like you could pop into what the other people built and kind of see that in a big world. And up to a month before release, I thought I could pull this off actually. I was like, oh yeah, I'll build it in the last month, whatever. No problem.
No.
And then I got realistic.
Man, dude, multiplayer is a whole other paradigm. Like you kind of have to build multiplayer from the ground up, I think. It's like if it's going to be in your game, you got to build from the ground up.
Yeah, and most recently, Garbage Country, I cut out the characters like walking around on foot. I guess I was kind of going after like a Sable or Caravan Sandwich vibe, where you have a vehicle, but you're also like running around a little bit. Mm-hmm. But then I realized the game is not about that. Like it is about the car. You should be in the car. So I cut that out, and it was a lot of work. Like there was a lot of platforming mechanics, other characters to talk to, looting containers and stuff, and that all goes straight in the bin, or I don't know, maybe for a next project.
You know, and I think that really is truly what separates like AAA from indie. It's like indie, it's like these tiny little just focused gimmicks. I don't know a better way to put it. It's gimmick is a bad word, but I think it should be. It's like that's a little gimmick. It's like this is a game where you drive around as a car. We're not going to change anything. We're not going to add anything else. Otherwise, you're gonna water down all the mechanics.
Yeah, it really made sense to me when we did a couple playtests, and one of the issues we were having is that people would walk away from the car. Like they would drive up to a landmark, go explore on foot, and then walk away so far from the car that they would kind of be lost, or like they would have to drive somewhere. And then it's like, oh, how can we prevent people from getting so far away from the car? Like, how do we tell them where the car is? And then I came up with weird stuff like, no, you're only allowed within a certain radius around the car. And then it kind of made sense. Like, why can you get out of the car? Like,
just kill the mechanic. Yeah. Well, that makes complete sense. And I am so encouraged to hear that, because I felt a lot of guilt. And the problem when you're working with a team is that when you kill something like that, you're killing somebody's time, you know, that they spent on it and their passion. You're just like, see you later. That wasn't worth it for the project. See you later, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it also depends where your bar is. I guess for me, I know that I've thrown away a lot of work, and by now it almost seems like, okay, that's just where the bar is. You're going to throw away a couple months of work.
Sure.
And that's normal. I don't know if other teams succeed in not doing that. If they are, I would love to know. If people are like, no, we don't throw away anything, we just like straight line to released product, but I doubt it. So you got to be okay. You're not better than anybody else. Like, you're not going to be better by not throwing away anything. If that makes sense.
It makes you wonder like what the cost of like, well, any game, but in particular AAA. Like, I wonder what the cost of AAA games would be if they just knew everything and they could just step by step. And that's why you've got all these Call of Duties.
Yeah.
It's like they probably don't have to scrap much because they know how it works and they know
I
what
think
the
those they really know how
core
it
is.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I watched this Half-Life documentary the other day, and it was really comforting to see that on Half-Life 2 they had exactly this. They built so much stuff. You see like early recordings of it, and you're like, wow, they also threw away a lot, and that's like a big professional team. So it's like,
Yep.
it's nice.
Yep. I think for Twisted Tower, which is the current game I'm working on, dude, I am not kidding. I think we made 10 levels, and each level has 2 different separate paths. So you can go down one path or the other path.
Yeah.
And it sounds like there's like Half-Life drones outside your window. Like I can't remember what they're called, but they're the enemies that fly around.
Yeah.
The
man
but
hacks.
yeah, that's right, man hacks. That's right. But we had all these. We had 10 levels, each with their own path, and I kid you not, we remade every level 3 times. So that's a total of 60 paths that we made.
Yeah.
And I don't know how else we were supposed to do it.
No. Yeah.
So you
That's
just
just
discover
it.
it.
You just discover it, and even with level design, like you make it once and it's wrong, and then you redo it and it's still wrong, and it's okay.
That's why. I mean, let me ask you this: what do you think about GDDs, game design documents?
I've never done one because I don't know. I told you a little bit about how I work. I just start on one end and I work my way through, and I'm doing a little bit of one now because Garbage Country has like a structure, like it's like a Metroidvania. So it's like you go to this place and then you go to the other place and you have to write this down. Otherwise, everyone on the team is confused. So, but it's a minimal way. It's not, I don't go in beforehand and try to write everything down. Though I do really see the merit of it because every time I do try to write things down, I'm like, hey, this helps you think. This helps you formalize things. It's like, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like a GDD is, if it's not living and breathing and changing, I don't even want to participate in making one because, and I think I got in a disagreement with Jonas Tyroller about this, and he'll probably message me after he listens to this that that's not what he meant, but I recall him saying in the podcast that GDDs should, once you do, but he did mention that he doesn't really use GDDs, but he was saying like once you lock in the GDD, it needs to stay, and maybe he didn't mean that, but all in all, I've just found that it's going to change drastically through development as you discover the game. It's so cool to think about, like, for example, Garbage Country. It's almost like Garbage Country already exists, because in a way it does. Like, in the future, it exists as something. I don't know if it's finished. I don't know if it's made you $10 million. I don't know. But it's buried somewhere in the future. Yeah. And what you're doing right now is you're digging it up. You're discovering it and finding it like it's an archaeological dig. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can wonder if you set yourself with a GDD to build certain things, like you still have to be receptive to them not being fun, right? You're still like, if you're developing those features, there comes a point where you have to say, you know what, I'm building this, but it doesn't feel good. And how much of it do you build before you decide that? And how much do you say, no, it's on the GDD, so I'm building it. And sometimes it is worth fully building it to see if it's fun. And sometimes you have to like just pull the plug on it early. I don't know, it's hard.
You said you worked on a game for 3 years and then you pulled the plug?
That was that was also called Garbage Country. I just lifted the name, but it was an MMO.
Hilarious.
It was like kind of like. So the thing, my initial thought was like, you know, in Minecraft, everybody goes in and doesn't know anything, and they build their first little house, and it's like a crap house, but it's there. And I thought it's such a shame that you can't see other people's first houses. Like, what if, in a very rudimentary way, everybody lives in the same world, and you all come in there and you build something, but it stays. And then when you see it, the world becomes this product of like all the first houses that people built, and then the other stuff. I just wanted to make this like persistent thing where people could build stuff, of course in a very basic way. I wasn't trying to build like anything as elaborate as Minecraft, but I just wanted to be like one world where you could build something and then other people could see what you built. But even that was like way above my
I know, right? It sounds super simple, but it also, man, I can't even imagine where to begin with that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like if I were you, I'd say, Thomas, cut this from the podcast because some studio is going to steal that idea. I think it's a great idea. It's this. There's only one world.
There's only one world.
It like I think that the gimmick and the hook could be, we will not. It's almost kind of like. It's almost like permadeath in a way, in the sense that it's like if the world looks disgusting, that's the world, and you, the community, has to fix it. If you've made it look like trash and you've built all these disgusting structures, and 5-year-olds have come onto the server and made it look terrible, it's up to the adults in the room to come in and clean it up. I think that's so interesting.
Do you remember, like, what was it called? Drawball, like this website where. Or like Reddit did this thing once where everybody had like 3 pixels of ink and it was like this big canvas and you could draw, your 3 pixels on it. And the result is just like everybody's, like whatever everybody made to get like that feeling, but in a world where you can walk around. Like everybody's just building something and the result is like this canvas of weirdness.
Dude, if you see this game come out in a year or two, you have grounds to sue them. Like, I was on Thomas Brush's podcast and I came up with that idea. That's a great idea. I see why you tried to do it, and I also understand why it didn't work, because that is a big project.
Yeah.
So how'd it feel scrapping that?
That was tough. That was the first time where I really, because before I was so convinced that I could do it, and I was so like on a straight path to like, at least it felt like it to me, and then when I stopped, I was kind of like, but what do I do instead? Like, apparently just doing whatever my intuition tells me is not good enough.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had the plant simulation to like, pull me through and be like, okay, at least I launched something.
Sure. Well, that brings me to Mike's question. Mike, he's asking about like, how do you know when a game is complete, when it's ready to release? Because like you said yourself, you're a noodler. You'll just go and go and go and go.
Yeah.
So what's that point where you go, okay, it's ready?
So I don't think you really reach that point where you say, now it's ready, let's launch. But you reach a point where you can maybe imagine being ready in the future. And you won't be, but you kind of reach this point where you say, well, if we pick a date in like, for me, it's like 3/4 of a year from now. That's far enough that I feel like, oh, that's a long time. I don't have to think about it. But it's close enough that you can be like, okay, I can vaguely see that will be a launch date. And you just pick that date. When that date comes, you won't feel ready, but that's always going to be, and then you crunch a month and you release it anyway.
Okay, so we've got one final question here, Thomas, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so this is from Evil. When starting out game development, do you recommend to first figure out what you want your first game to be, write it out, and find out what tools you need to make it possible? So I guess what they're saying is it best to get it all sort of the groundwork laid and written out? Kind of like we were talking about with GDD.
Yeah. I would say no. Definitely no. For me, what is one way that is a path to success, I think, for many people, is find something that has that spark. Just experiment, learn some new skills, make something that you find fun. And then if you make something that has a little spark where you're like, hey, I animated this weird little guy and he's running around in a world, just go with that. Like always keep this kind of like...
So you're saying keep the fascination, keep the discovery as part of...
Yeah,
dude, I totally agree with you. Like, I feel like I've gone through the process of trying to make a game systematically, and it just doesn't work for me. It has to be a discovery process. It has to be fun. It has to be like I'm having fun while I'm making it. Otherwise, the game won't be fun. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And if you give yourself a to-do list from the beginning of stuff that you have to build, then you're going to be demotivated.
All right, guys. Have a blessed night, everybody. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.